Good afternoon, everybody. This is Being Better with BB Insurance. My name is Bill Bolton. I'm the president of BB Insurance. This is my video segment where I have conversations with local business owners and we talk about their business and different insurance related issues, specific to their industry. And I'm very, very lucky to have this next guest on with me today. This is Mark McClatchey with Paytech Trust. And before we jump into the rest of the intro, I just want to say, Mark, you've been an integral part in me building and informing my business, and you have done the same for many other businesses. And I know I speak for all of us when I say thank you. So, Mark, how are you? And tell us a little bit about Paytech Trust, specifically how you differ your business with the rest of the competition out there.
Well, thanks, Bill, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm glad to be interviewed from you, and definitely love to see the growth that your company is growing through right now. So that's just fantastic. Paytech Trust, we're in the merchant services and payroll markets, and I love competition, but I love good competition. People that the competition I see out there, people that are doing it like we are. So we're not the only company in this space that operates the way that we do, but we are one of the few. And what I mean by that is our first and primary focus in this area when we work with clients is focusing on security, efficiency, and then savings, because we realize that if we don't have the first two, no matter how good of a rate you are, you will end up losing in the back end some way, somehow, to a small degree, to a massive, great degree, if efficiency and security aren't met.
Okay. And you had mentioned security in there. Can we elaborate on that just a little bit?
Well, security in our world, there's data moving back and forth. You have your business owners where they only have a credit card terminal and it's just slide the chip in and then pull it back out. Those, by the very nature, because of the controlled system, have a lot less ways to get in. But the majority of businesses these days are doing transactions in a multitude of ways, from face to face to over the phone, from the internet to their website and everything in between, to invoices, to even some companies still sending out forms and having customers fill out that with their credit card information and mail that in. All of those areas, when there is an access to, hey, could this data be hacked? Could this piece of paper be stolen and that data being taken care of? Lend to security, which in our industry is our PCI guidelines, which is the measure that as far as their security standards. And what's unfortunate is just because a customer takes that annual assessment doesn't really mean they're actually PCI compliant, meaning that if they just say yes and check the box, but don't happen to follow the certain protocols that are called out in the assessment, as well as directed by either internal IT staff or with an outsourced IT person that's managing their systems, that says, hey, look, this loop isn't closed. We need to close this. And a lot of times what they don't understand is you can think that you're protected, but if you get breached and you're fully not compliant, unfortunately, not only can Visa and MasterCard put penalties on you, and if you get breached, and that opens up the possible class action lawsuit. And then going back to your industry, what kind of really weighs the heaviness on that is, hey, I took my assessment, but that company found out they were the weakest link in the chain. From my understanding, the insurance underwriters, when they get to investigating that, if they find out that, yeah, this merchant, regardless of having a great cyber policy, if they find out they were the weakest link in the chain, they can not have to pay that policy. And that can destroy a business. I mean, if you're a Walmart and you get breached, like Target did a few years ago, paying $100 million, Target's still open. But the average small business doesn't have that ability.
It's pretty accurate, actually. And I'm glad you threw the cyber liability insurance twist on it, because that's the direction I was going with it as well. Very hot topic these days. And yes, in many circumstances, the underwriters, or actually the claims department at that point, can deny claims if you've made a misrepresentation on your application. And that does include these PCI audits. So in a lot of circumstances for small businesses, not that big of an issue, because the underwriting for small business insurance is not nearly as stringent. If you are a larger company, or if you're doing any kind of a project that's much more robust or much more complex, at that point, the requirements are much higher. And if you don't follow exactly or don't fill out those applications 100% appropriately, they can deem it to be a misrepresentation, and the carriers can deny claims at that point. In fact, they go as far as to make the application part of the policy itself, which can be very damning if you are not following all of the rules. But that's extremely interesting, Mark. There's always new crossovers, and I don't think about ahead of time. So
Well, and
I
it
want to
comes
thank
from,
you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add, and it comes from, more of a consulting than just, my company or someone in my industry giving someone a contract and go, oh, take your assessment, to extending to your end of, oh, you need insurance. Let me just fill out this policy. While a policy may be filled out, the consulting phase of really diving deep of how they operate and what they do is a big asset to what we both touch. And so it's not just about the paper, it's about making sure they're on that right footing so they don't fall into those pitfalls.
That's right, and that's our value, Mark. You nailed it. Well, hey, Mark, we're just about out of time here, but I want to thank you again for all that you've done, and thank you again for hanging out with me today and doing this.
Well, thanks very much. It was great to be on Being Better with Bill Bolton. I appreciate it, Bill.
Yes, sir. Have a great day,
Thanks.
Mark.
You too.